Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Chief Petty Officer Martin Samet. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Walter Downes Cock. Walter Cock was born on the 17th of December 1923 in Tamworth, the son of Morris and Alice Cock. He attended Goolgong Public School and then Sydney Technical College, and by the start of the Second World War was living in the Sydney suburb of Bondi, where he was an apprentice electrician. Keen to join the Royal Australian Air Force, Cock had taken Air Force lessons at Bondi School and passed all of his exams. In December 1941, he applied to be aircrew and towards the end of the month enrolled in the RAAF Reserve. He was called up in the new year and on the 31st of January 1942 enlisted in the RAAF proper. After initial training, he attended Wireless Air Gunner School at Parkes and Bombing and Gunnery School at Port Pirie. In mid-January 1943, Cock embarked at Melbourne, bound for overseas service, landing in the United Kingdom in mid-March. He was attached to the Royal Air Force and continued training, attending radio school before joining an operational training unit. On the 22nd of March 1943, Cock was transferred to number 221 Squadron. Part of Coastal Command, number 221 Squadron was operating from Le Havre, a town located in the south of Malta, flying maritime patrols in the Mediterranean. By May 1943, most enemy shipping had been cleared from the Mediterranean, and the squadron spent an increasing amount of time bombing Italian ports or on anti-submarine patrols. Towards the end of the year, the anti-submarine patrols became a full-time duty. On the 4th of January 1944, Cock was a crew member aboard a Wellington bomber that took off from Le Havre Aerodrome at 8:30 p.m. They were tasked with conducting an anti-submarine escort for a convoy in the Mediterranean Sea. But nothing was heard from the aircraft after takeoff, and it was not seen again. All crew members were killed. Warrant Officer Reid, Pilot Officer Campbell, Flight Sergeant Daly, Flight Sergeant Wild, Flight Sergeant Walker, and Flight Sergeant Cock, who was 20 years old. Today, Pilot Officer Campbell is buried in the Agira Canadian War Cemetery in Sicily. The other 5 members of the crew, including Walter Cock, are buried at the Catania War Cemetery in Sicily. Walter Cock's name is listed on the honorary roll on my right among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Walter Downes Cock, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying up there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.